Hey everybody, Joe here from Mainline Overland. We're excited to be talking to Michael Hermann from Purple Lizards today. Mike, it's great to have you on here. Good to see you again through the interweb here. But if you just want to tell the folks out there who you are and then what does Purple Lizard do?
Sure. I'm Mike Herman. I'm the founder of Purple Lizard Maps. And what we're known for doing is making outstanding recreational maps in the Mid-Atlantic region. So our maps don't cater to any one particular type of outdoor rec. We try to show the full gamut of outdoor rec. So whether that's hiking or mountain biking or kayaking or overlanding, camping, backpacking, we're trying to map public lands and show everybody what they can do on those public lands.
Yeah, that's great. I personally have been using your maps forever, even before I started working here at Mainline. Always saw them in the little shops. I grew up in State College, so it's right in your neck of woods. So there's a lot of local shops that have them, and I've been using them forever, and always kind of recommend them to people that are asking, "Where should I go in PA? What are the cool spots to check out?" I'm just like, "Go pick up a Purple Lizard, start exploring."
Yeah, well, Central PA is where we got our start. Rothrock State Forest outside of Penn State University. That was where I got my degree in geography and cartography and where I really started recreating outdoors. And that was sort of the genesis of Purple Lizard Maps was realizing how much public land there was in Central PA and how little people realized that. So we wanted to design maps that would sort of unlock that landscape for a lot of people to enjoy.
So as you know, there's been some recent budget cuts and some changes in the federal government when it comes to state access land, federal land. In the local Pennsylvania area, is there any parks that you know that have been affected or closed or have reduced hours or anything people should be aware of when they're making those summer plans to go out?
There have been some in our area directly. Raystown Lake comes to mind. So the campgrounds that the Army Corps of Engineers manages, the current administration did not fund them to reopen. So that caught everybody by surprise because that is a campground that makes a lot of profit. So we're not quite sure why it has anything to do with budgets to keep it closed and to not allow it to make a profit. Um, but the majority of land is open, certainly across state forest. None of that affects Pennsylvania state forests or state parks. It's limited to federal managed public lands, which in Pennsylvania is limited to reservoirs like Army Corps of Engineers properties and other areas like National Forest, Allegheny National Forest, and I'm not aware of any closures in Allegheny National Forest and the Delaware Water Gap area, and I'm not aware of any closures in that area anyway. Pennsylvania state parks and forests are all wide open for camping and exploration as usual.
Okay, that's good to know. I did hear some things about Raystown Lake being shut down, but it's good to know that all the local kind of state parks and state-run facilities are all open for business and there for people to go out and adventure at.
Yeah, and that's the difference a lot of people don't understand is in terms of the land management behind the public land. So, from most public's perspective, public land is public land. However, there's some pretty strong management differences and funding differences between federal and state lands. So, in Pennsylvania, the vast majority of our lands are state. We have state forests, and then within the state forests are state parks. And those two terms are tossed around also sort of interchangeably, but there's a pretty stark difference. And when you go out and explore them, you'll see that right away. The state parks are smaller pieces of land nestled within state forests. And so a state park is where you're going to find infrastructure. A state park is going to have parking lots and bathrooms and maybe swimming lakes and campgrounds, maybe public pavilions that you can rent. The bigger ones that have swimming facilities will have changing rooms and showers. They might have snack bars, things like that. And they're going to be on small couple, 10 acres, 20-acre type sizes usually. And then the broader piece of landscape, the state forest, and that's like what the overlanders are out exploring. And that's where you're going to find all your hiking trails and your mountain biking trails and your MABDR routes. Those are going to go through state forests. And state forests are going to be, like in Pennsylvania, a small state forest is 100,000 acres. So we're talking about big, broad landscapes in state forest properties that you can go explore. And that's what we try to unlock with our maps by showing what roads are dirt, what roads are high clearance roads, where the hiking trails are, where the trailheads are. And that's also why, like the Overland Festival is so popular in the Mid-Atlantic Overland Festival with Mainline Overland, because it sits right between uh, public lands of Rothrock State Forest, and it has access to Raystown Lake, which is federal, which is Army Corps of Engineers. And although the campground is closed, the lake is not closed by any means. So the boat ramps are all open. The lake, of course, is open. The trails around the lake are open, and there are state parks nestled in next to that lake as well that have campgrounds. And then there's a whole host of private commercial campgrounds to choose from also. And then we also have Bald Eagle State Forest, adjacent to Rothrock State Forest, which is a really popular destination for overlanding because it has a lot of really fun high clearance four-wheel drive roads to go explore. And it has a lot of camping options that aren't in a state park. They have camping options that you can reserve sites more remote in the forest, where you can camp either alone with your vehicle, or some of them will hold a couple vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, rather, Bald Eagle State Forest is definitely kind of my favorite spot here in PA. Being super close to where I grew up, that's kind of where I cut my teeth in overlanding and starting to learn trails and spent a lot of time exploring. And I'm always amazed every time I go back how beautiful it is. I think there's probably 60 plus dispersed campsites there, which is awesome. Like even on those busy weekends, you can typically find a spot to go out and camp and explore.
Yeah, Bald Eagle State Forest is a gem. It's really easy to access, as you know. It's about 3 hours from Philly. You can just come up on the turnpike and come north through Harrisburg. It's also right, Route 80 cuts right across it, so it's a pretty straight shot from New York City. And it, between that forest and Rothrock, and then there's also Tioga, Loyalsock. I mean, there's so many state forests in Pennsylvania, especially in central PA, and then into the PA wilds. The PA wilds alone is over 2 million acres. So I mean, that's on par with like anything that you'll find out west. So the amount of public land you can disappear into and explore is incredibly vast in central PA. I really like that whole concept. You can come out of a place like New York City on Route 80 on an interstate that goes across the country, and you can take an exit that instantly puts you on a dirt road and spits you out into some of the deepest, darkest mountains in the middle of the state.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're lucky to have all that access here in PA.
Yeah, we're incredibly lucky. And I mean, if you've got a rig that came from a place like Mainline Overland, you're totally self-supported. You can just disappear into there for as much time as you have.
I'm glad you brought up the Mid-Atlantic Overland Festival. It's nestled in between all these awesome outdoor recreation activities and beautiful state forest. For those of you who do not know about the Overland Festival, it's a festival that we put on right outside of State College. This is our, I think, 10th year running it, but it's like an Overland Expo kind of event, but definitely on a smaller, more local scale. We have around 20 vendors come in every year, showing their latest goods and products, offering demonstration classes. We bring in a lot of experts from the overland and outdoor world, providing demonstrations, hands-on training, just to increase your education in the overland world so you have a safer and better time out there exploring. And we typically have around 300 people come out. So it's a really great weekend, great chance to connect with the local overland community, learn from some of the experts in the industry. It's just a great chance to kind of hang out, and make those connections. I've met so many people that have made those connections and friends, and they almost like create their own wheeling groups, and go do trips every year together. So it's a really great opportunity to come out, connect with local overland enthusiasts, and just learn more about the local area and overlanding. If you just take a minute, just telling the people out there what you guys do at the festival.
Yeah, that festival's a really nice time. We've been there since the beginning. We've been to every one. We basically show our maps and we talk about how we make the maps. And then we're also the resource to help people explore that area, to meet with them and get a sense of what it is that they might want to go find. You can go do your slightly more difficult wheeling if you want to do that. If somebody says, hey, I just bought this new rig, it's brand new, I don't want to pinstripe it for 4 miles of narrow trail, we can send them to some places where they'll have a fun experience but won't pinstripe it. If they're looking for scenic vistas, Maybe they're traveling with young kids or dogs and they want some places that they can stop and go for a short little hike and find some water and things like that. We'll give them basically some outdoor ideas, some destination ideas. And I really like the size of it. You mentioned it, around 300 people or so, because we've been to the larger, we've been to Expo East and stuff where it's like 20,000 plus people. They've gotten even larger. And, uh, and there's a time and a place for that, but actually I much prefer the smaller size, just a few hundred people. You actually have time to talk to people. The camping scene there is a lot more laid back, a lot less like jammed in an endless parking lot, and it's just it's a really good vibe. The other thing that's nice about that festival is we always do a Tread Lightly partnership. So there's always a day before the festival where there's some partnerships going on with the state forest where we find some sites that need a cleanup, whether that's a trash cleanup or fire ring cleanups or campsite cleanups or whatever. I like how Mainline Overland always works with the local foresters to try to find a volunteer project so that people have the opportunity to give back a little bit during that weekend as well.
Yeah, so if you have questions on the Mid-Atlantic Overland Festival, for those folks watching out there, check out the link down in the description. You can read more about it. It takes place August 7th through 11th this year up in central PA. It's really beautiful scenery, tons of stuff to do, great community. If you're in the area, I'd say it's definitely an event not to miss. Well, appreciate your time today, Mike. Look forward to see you at the Overland Festival, and I might see you before then. Who knows?
You just might. Hopefully, we'll find you on the trail somewhere.